thank you so much for bringing us together today. Remember, help us remember that we have our Bliss cars and that we can get in them anytime that we want. In fact, we never have to leave them. And when we're in the middle of strife and struggle, remind us that our Bliss cars are there awaiting us. Just asking us. They're just there waiting. All we have to do is open the door and get in. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Donna.
Spirit, thank you for bringing us together this day, finding within ourselves the sacred love for ourselves and for others, finding our bliss, being our bliss. Thank you for the joy that we have for being here. Thank you for the love that we share with each other. And so it is. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, I must really be on, so I don't know what service is going to be like because I am perspiring. Like all of a sudden. And no, it's not a hot flash. It could be, but I'm going to say no to that. No hot flashes. All right, so in keeping with our normal practice, we want to invite you and insist that you stand up and that you greet each other, but I'm going to ask you to do it a slightly different way than we've been doing it, because today we're going to be talking about becoming bliss. And what I would like for you to do is to greet the people around you as though you are greeting a piece of yourself that you have forgotten existed. So when you look at them, when you hug them, or when you shake their hand, do so in a way that you're greeting yourself. See yourself in that person and feel yourself in that person. So let's go. Okay. All right. We have announcements and our congregational giving. So if you would like to get your gift ready, I'll give a couple announcements and we'll do the blessing of the gift. Kind of in between because, you know. All right, but I'm 51 and I need glasses. There we go. On Sunday, April 13th, well, that's today, from 4 to 6 p.m., there's a creative change through hypnosis with Reverend Robin Gallion. And that's $20 at CFIA, so that's upstairs. Thursday, April 15th at 6 p.m., there's the Oregon Psychic Reality Healing Circle with Brenda Watts. And that's a free activity, and that's here in Sacred Space. And Sunday, April 20th, oh, darn. Okay, Sunday, okay, wait. I'm going to start that over again, just a minute. Okay, Sunday, April 20th, join us here for Easter service. I'm sorry, my sadness was because I won't be here.
I won't be here either.
You won't?
No, I'm going to see my family.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, so we're going to be celebrating, we're having a celebration of life for Jesus and all ascended masters and teachers. So our beloved Reverend Patricia Roller will be sharing some of her experiences with the ascended ones and teachers. And after her sharing, others are welcome to come up and share how their lives have been changed by teachings and encounters with ascended masters or higher beings or other beings. No. And afterwards, there's a potluck. And so Reverend Patricia would like to say something.
Imagine that.
Yes.
Okay, so I found this really cool thing at Candlelight in Conjure the other day, and it's called I think it's a Jerusalem rose. So it's real dried up, and then so 3 days before service, I'll put it in water is what you do, and it resurrects itself.
Oh.
And then tradition has that you take your hands and dip it in the water and touch your face with it, so whatever you want, love, abundance, whatever it is, you've been blessed with that. And it's a tradition that you do for that. So I'll be bringing that, and it'll be very cool. And I'm going to go and get another one. And for Happy Easter, we'll do tickets, and I'll draw a winning ticket and give a Jerusalem rose to someone. So.
Wow, oh, that's absolutely beautiful. I'd like to have a ticket.
Well, guess you're going to have to be here, my friend.
Yeah, choices.
Yes, choices. This isn't really a choice on my
Apparently
side.
you must be present to win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently. Okay, for those of you who didn't hear, you must be present to win.
And a potluck, yum.
Yes, and a potluck afterwards,
Oh,
which would be
yes.
a lot of fun.
That sounds great.
Yes. Yes, yum is right. The CFIA store is open. Is it going to be open after service today?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then Deb Kovac has worked with Shelley Dana, yes, Deb, to create an artist area upstairs at CFIA for the artists who are in our community and outside of our community, I'm guessing, that might want to put art up there. They need to talk to Shelley Dana, who's the director of CFIA, and she will work with them and do whatever she needs to do. And do they talk to you as well, Deb?
They can,
Okay.
But it's her art that's up there.
but it's.
Oh, it's your art that's up there right now. Okay.
Gorgeous. Go out and see it.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Yes, it is beautiful up there. I didn't realize that was all your art. Yes, it's lovely.
And it's a love donation, so if you like something, put a bid in it, and then whoever gets the highest bid. gets 'em.
Okay, I'm on
Wow.
it.
Is there a timeline for the bidding?
I have a month up there, so at the end
Okay.
of the month, then whoever has put the highest bid, so put
Wow.
a bid in, even if it's $5, it's going off the wall, so just
Wow.
saying.
Wow, that's
And if
fantastic.
it's close, then I'll give a second bid, just so that it's fair, but.
Wow, that's really fantastic. All right, so I would encourage everyone after service today to go upstairs and check out the wall.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And let's see, are there any other community events that we have at CFIA or Sacred Space that I've missed? Okay, so since I did things a little bit backwards, what I'd like for you to do, there is no backwards. So we're going to do something different today. Wait, let me start that again. Okay, we're going to do something different today. I know, Beth, I'm crazy. I would like for you to imagine that you still have your sacred gift in between your hands. So whatever that was, whether it was actual money or whether it was love, put that between your hands. Feel it there. See it growing. See it blessing you 100 times the amount that you have given to sacred space. See that flowing back into your heart and throughout your life. Bless it. Thank yourself for being generous with sacred space. And so it is. Okay, so now we're going to have our special song.
Yeah.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that can go to space. Yeah, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy I belong in you, feel like a home without a roof. Because I'm happy I belong in you, feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy I belong in you, know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy I belong in you, feel like that's what you wanna do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. My choice to be happy. Well, give me how you got and don't hold back. My choice to be happy. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. It's my choice to be happy. No offense to you, only just the time. Here's why. Because I'm happy I belong in you, feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy I belong in you, feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy I belong in you, know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy I belong in you, feel like that's what you wanna do. Bring me down longing bring me down and say, because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like that's what you want to do. Happy, bring me down, and nothing, bring me down, and you happy, bring me down, and nothing, bring me down, and say, because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you know happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Let the longing you feel like that's what you want to do. Let's be happy.
Victoria Shepherd and her minions.
Yes.
Wow, I don't know how to follow that.
Follow your bliss, Donna. Follow your bliss.
I'm actually not going to follow my bliss because that implies that I'm not in it.
That's right.
I'm actually going to be in my bliss. It's going to take me a minute though because that was really fantastic. So I'm really in their bliss at the moment. So we are talking about the afterlife of Billy Fingers, if you guys have read that book or not. How many in here have read the book or part of the book? Okay, about half of you. What? Part of it. Well, as I was preparing for this talk, you know, I got the book obviously on Kindle, which is fantastic. But when you're trying to search through the book to find things, not quite so fantastic. And then when you want to do like sticky notes, like you do on a piece of paper, really not quite the same. So yeah, no, it is, but it's not quite the same as where you're turning the page, right? It took a little practice, so we'll see how well I did.
You did great.
Oh, I like that. That's that future pace. Okay, here's where the glasses are required. Whoops. There we go. All right, so I am going to do a reading from, oh, that sounded very serious. I'm going to do a reading on the 16th chapter of The Afterlife with Billy Fingers. It's the blue-white sphere. So the first part of this is his sister. For those of you who are familiar with the book, you know that his sister is writing this book based on her conversations with the brother, and who has transitioned and is in heaven. So the first part of what I'm going to read here is her commentary on these conversations that she's had. And obviously she's had a number of conversations. We're on chapter 16 here, and a number of things have transpired between them. She says, I knew Billy could no longer speak to me directly since he started becoming the universe. I had to focus on the blue light that appeared above my bed in the mornings, or I couldn't hear him. It was like a cosmic radio. To hear the broadcast, I had to tune in. I decided to ignore the light, at least until I figured out what to do next. Okay, so there's more, but I think that's really fascinating. She decided to ignore the blue light until she figured out what to do next. Patricia talked last week about it's our job to figure out the what, and it's God's job or the universe's job to figure out the how. And so when we step back from things that are showing up for us, we're stepping back from God showing us the how. And I just thought that was really fascinating. Here she's had all these really wonderful experiences with her brother who has transitioned. Many people in this world would love to have that kind of communication with somebody who has transitioned. And yet she is in such a place of fear, essentially, that she isn't going to open herself up to talk to her brother that she desperately wants to talk to. That's what's so fascinating. She desperately wants to talk to him and is sad when she isn't talking to him. And yet she has an opportunity and she says, no, I'm not going to do it until I figure out what to do. Somebody who is not following their bliss or being in their bliss. Oops. Okay, for days, I pretended not to see the light above my bed. So, okay, before I go on. And I'm sorry, I'd leave the glasses on, but they're for the computer and I can't see out. For days, how many of us have spent days stepping outside of our bliss, knowing that if we would just take the step, we would feel so much better about what we're doing or what's going on in life? We know that it's going to help us, but we don't take that step. We continue to ignore it. We continue to say, yeah, I'm not ready for it right now. Well, you know, I know better. However, what I will say is who is the best, not person, who best knows what it is that we should be doing? Is that us, our ego minds? Or is that the universe, our God mind? And so our God mind offers opportunities, or our God, universe, offers opportunities, and really we should be stepping into those because that universal knowledge knows that we're ready to do it. We're just the ones who don't know that we're ready to do it. Okay, then one afternoon, whoops, okay, that's the other problem with this. Okay, here we go. One afternoon, I walked out my front door and was shocked to see Billy above me, a pale, transparent figure floating like a cumulus cloud in the sky. He wore a white robe and was reading a large book that he held open in his hands, a book with a red leather cover, just like the red notebook he had given me. Was my imagination creating cartoons? Or was Billy using his new body to get my attention? And who was giving him permission to do that? Whatever it was, ignoring Billy was no longer an option. The next morning when I saw the blue light, I tuned in. So let's talk about that just in general. Because how many times have we ignored, thought about it, okay, tomorrow, ignored, thought about it, okay, tomorrow, ignored, right? And then all of a sudden, you can't ignore it anymore. Something gets in your way, it can lay you flat because you can't ignore it anymore. That is not what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to step into it. We have all done that. And it is so, it's just such a statement on who we are as earth beings when we're in our earth selves and not our spiritual selves, in that we allow ourselves to suffer so much that we have to be flat out until we can step into what it is that the universe is trying to get us to step into. Okay, so here's Billy. Billy says, "Thank you for honoring me by finally sitting down at your computer to write my words. Were you surprised to see me in the sky yesterday with the red notebook in my hands? Having a new body does give me certain advantages," which that would be nice. "How can I describe the blue-white sphere? Picture your own sun blazing." Actually, so close your eyes as I read this next part. "Picture your own sun blazing about 20 feet above your head, so big it covers the entire sky. This sphere is made of light, not fire, and instead of being yellow, its white core turns sapphire as it radiates out. It's so powerful that if you were anywhere in its vicinity, your flesh, but remember this is your sun, your flesh would evaporate in a nanosecond. How does that feel? That powerful blue, white sphere above your head. Do you feel that connected to you? Okay, you can come back into the room now. All beings on earth carry the light from this sphere within them. That's why spiritual philosophies say that we are one. That's why I asked you reading a part of yourself. Because that is what we are, that is what we do. Any interaction that we have, and I don't think I'm saying anything that anybody doesn't know, except that I don't think that we think about it all the time. We don't think about that every single person that we're greeting or interacting with or doing something with is actually a part of us. And so when we do that with some kind of, with anything other than love, then we're dishonoring ourselves. We're dishonoring, because we're all connected, we're dishonoring everyone. The light from the sphere propels your soul into your body when you're in the womb. It then becomes the invisible force that gives you life. And when the time is right, the same light launches your soul right up into the healing chamber at the moment of your so-called death. So how wonderful is that? Right? So many of us fear death. And, we can take the fearing of death literally, of course, because many people do. But we can also do that in terms of every interaction in our life, right? We don't step into what the universe is trying to get us to do. Not today, not today. Okay, I'll think about it. Okay, no, not today. We don't do that because we're afraid that whatever it is that we have going on in our lives is going to die because we're going to have to do something new now. But the fact is, the universe, this all-loving energy that has created all of us, is a loving energy. That loving energy is not going to step you into something that is not from a place of love. That's the thing that I think that we don't think about when we're afraid, right? When we're afraid to take that next step, when we're afraid to do something, even though we have been given the opportunities over and over and over again to step into it. And just like me, one day you will get a gorgeous new body made of the light from the blue-white sphere. Wow. Can I have that now? All right, oops. Then, instead of carrying the light inside you, the light will carry you inside it. That is just how much we are a part of the universe. There is no separation. And it's so hard, I think, for us in the earth energies to remember that and to raise our vibrations up and to be part of the greater universal love that is within each and every one of us, everything actually on this earth. In your world, as the earth moves around the sun, there's nothing but shadow for a good part of the time. The mystery of life on earth cannot exist without the shadow element. You cannot have the sea without storms, the earth without quakes, the wind without tornadoes. On earth, when the light rises, the darkness comes with it. Where there is light, there is shadow. Unless it's midday. But it can't always be midday. And sometimes darkness is okay too. Don't overlook the riches contained in the darkness. Life's very temporary, so don't let time just pass. Let the moments fill you, the ones you judge to be good as well as bad. So how many times have we had things that, we consider to be darkness, dark times, and all we want to do is get out of them? I just want to get out of this, right? Because it's so easy to say that. It's so easy to feel like that you're suffering under this, that there isn't a benefit for this process. And I'm here to tell you that I understand that. I have many times been in the suffering, and actually been in the suffering. So what am I doing? I'm letting my God self, my connection to the universe, step aside, right? So that I can be in my earthly self with my ego mind and just suffer. Because that's what my choice is. I've also been on the other side of that. That in the midst of the suffering, I recognize that there's some purpose for that suffering. I may not know what it is, but I know that there's a purpose for that. And what does that do? It actually lightens the suffering. So it isn't as though the suffering goes away. And I don't mean suffering from like pain. It's anything that's, wrenching at the heart. Anything that's painful, that's causing disturbance in life is the suffering. I've been in those where I've actually been with the universe. Standing with the universe, knowing that this too will pass. I don't really know why I'm finding myself in this situation right now, but what I know is that it is going to pass. And that when it passes, I will look back at this time and I will say, well, that really wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It felt like it was. I felt like I wanted to go take my own life, but it wasn't that bad now that I look back at it. But it's when you can stand in it with that universal mind of, there's more to this than what I can see. And that's what God is really about. There's more to us than what we can see. God, however, can see it all. God can direct us because God can see it all. And if we continue to trust God and not worry about the how, we don't even really have to worry about the what, but don't worry about the how and step into that universal oneness and say, okay, this is where I am right now, and that's okay. It doesn't feel good, but there's some reason I'm here. And then let the process work itself and work through you and flow through you with less resistance. You will get through it faster. You will get through it with less pain, less heartache. And then you'll be done and you'll be on the other side. And at that point, you may or may not know still why you had to go through it. That's what I find so interesting. Sometimes I know immediately why I'm going through something. And other times I don't know. And other times when I don't know in the moment, I can know a couple of weeks later or a couple of years later. And yet there's still things in my life that I don't know why I went through those. I can't find anything yet, any meaning for having gone through that. But that's okay. It's knowledge that I have, it's an experience that I have, it's something that I carry with me. Anytime I encounter somebody else, who knows? I could be 102 years old, something comes up with somebody else, and I remember when I was 5 years old, blah, 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 and I'm now able to help this person. I don't know. Whoops. I moved on to chapter 17 quickly. Okay, so the last part of what Billy says, remember the blue-white light is always inside you. So when we're having difficulties in life, even when we're having tremendous happiness in life, remember that blue-white light. It's there. It's always with us. It's always radiating out. It's just that sometimes we cut off our blinders so we can't see it. And we can't see it in others. By remembering it, you feel it and it will grow. So again, over time, I used to stand in the suffering and think, really? I'm a good person. I, was a good girl growing up, relatively decent human being in my, adulthood. Why am I having these issues? But then when I realized that this light was inside of me and I started to help it grow, that's when I began to step out of the suffering part of life and move into the universal I'm part of God part of life. Recognizing that everything that's going on is supposed to be going on. Even though it doesn't feel good, it's supposed to be going on. Even though it feels fantastic, it's supposed to be going on. When light is joyous, the light will be there. When there is hardship, the light will also be there. And I think that is one thing that we tend to forget. We feel like when we have done something horrible, in our minds horrible, and maybe it is horrible, that, okay, we're disconnected. God doesn't, how could God possibly love us? Well, because God already knows us, right? God already knows who we are. God created us. So there is no difference between good and bad. It just all is. And the love of God continues regardless. I know you're afraid that things will go wrong. They will. It's like that on earth. We're all permitted our pain, but pain is a transitory state. My transition was to death. To this comfort and love I now receive in every molecule of my being. Know that the shadow is illusory and temporary. Bliss, ultimately bliss and light are the truer and stronger reality. And that's the truth. We were talking yesterday, I was in a little meeting, and we were talking about how when you have a job and you're looking for a job, it's easier to find a job, right? That's because your energy is already in that state of, I have a job. If I interview for this and I get it, great. If I interview for this and I don't get it, that's fine too. I have a job, right? Or same thing with abundance. You start having money coming in, and all of a sudden, money just starts to come in. It seems like no matter everything you do is like turns into gold, right? And you kind of sit back and you think, well, what is this all about? Well, it's about the fact that you have raised your energy to say, I deserve this. I can have this. You aren't separating yourself from the universal good. We talked about dates, right? Having a date or events, activities to go to. Maybe you spend, a year or more in this kind of singular environment. You're not really invited places. You don't really go to many places. And then all of a sudden you get an invitation and an invitation. It's like, oh my God, I can't go to all these places. I will never be home, right? Well, so once again, it's that you step into that place of who you are. You allow that to flow into you. And that is really, to me, what bliss is all about. You step into every activity in life, whether it's painful, whether it's happy, doesn't really matter. It's the bliss of life. You recognize that whatever event you're going through, whatever you're encountering, is all about you. You can enjoy that. You can enjoy the pain, and I know that sounds hard. I mean, how do you enjoy the pain? And it is hard, but you can enjoy it. You can say, I know that as I work through this, there is some benefit. I may not know it now, I may never know it, but I know that there is I may never know it while I'm on earth, but there is some benefit for me going through this. The same thing with being just wonderfully elated. How many times are we in this wonderful ecstatic state? We're just happy. Everything in life is going really well, and we think, uh-oh, something's going to happen, because stuff never goes this well for me, right? I mean, how many of us have thought that? And then what happens? stuff stops going so well, doesn't it? It just makes me think, why do we do that? And today, when we were upstairs doing healing, and thank you, Philip White and Reverend Patricia Roller, for doing the healing this morning. I was standing there and I was looking at one of the pictures on the wall, and it said, "Follow your bliss." And all of a sudden I got, no, don't follow it. If you're following it, you're not in it. And it's about being in your bliss. If you're in your bliss, whatever you're doing, your bliss is with you. It's not, you don't have to follow it. You don't have to find your bliss. Your bliss is already with you. It's your blue-white sphere that is within you, that is above you, that is all around you, that is connecting all of us together, creating this wonderful experience of who we are. An experience that doesn't need to be judged, as Patricia said last week. It is just an experience. It is something that we wanted to experience. And so when we think of both the positive and the seemingly negative experiences that we go through in life, those are really experiences. If we can stay in joy in both of those times, that is when our souls are just radiating, because we are saying to ourselves, we appreciate what we're doing here, and we understand that this is an experience, and we're going to accept this experience, and thank you for letting us have it. Do we wish the bad experience would go away? Absolutely. But because it's not until we're ready to get out of it, right? Until we're ready to follow the light that is shining on us on our next step to take. As soon as we stop saying, okay, maybe tomorrow, and we step into it and say, okay, today, we're going to do it. We're moving forward today. We're not going to stop at anything anymore. There is nothing that can stop us when we, as God's children, God, participants with God, particles within the whole light and sphere of God, can say to ourselves, okay, let's do it. Let's move through it. I'll learn from it. This is both good and bad. I'll learn from it, and then I'll move on and do something else. So when you think and when you hear somebody say, follow your bliss, think, no, I'm actually in my bliss. And when you're noticing that you're struggling with something, think to yourself, I must not be in my bliss, because this shouldn't be a struggle. Even the hardships shouldn't be a struggle in that way. You should feel at peace with working through the hard times, even though you're having to work through something that's a hard time. So, are there any questions or anything? I don't have a direct connection to Billy, but...
So my question is that even though you're going through something hard, it should not be difficult once you have decided that I'm going to go in this path, then everything will kind of align. It'll still not be comfortable, but it should make things smoother.
Has been my experience. So when I'm having a really hard time and I finally say, because I'm stepping into my bliss, and I finally say, okay, that's the way it's going to be, and this is how I'm going to react to it, and this is what I'm going to do with it, then it becomes smoother. The other thing that has happened for me, and this has happened a lot in the last couple of months for me, is I make up my mind about what's going to happen, and then that's what happens. So it's like I am no longer, so the suffering, the real suffering and pain, that heart pain, that comes through some of the struggles in life, I think are because we are resistant to stepping into what God is showing us. And we're believing what other people are thinking or saying, right? So we're kind of moving our lives into their story and allowing them to direct our life. Yeah, they don't get that. They don't get that. That's not their role. So as soon as I take back over being the director of my story, that's when it's much, much easier. So yes, it's still a struggle. There's still problems that will arise. But my whole mind frame about it, like not sleeping or overeating, in my case, some people don't eat when they're under stress, all those things can go away. Because now you're just moving with the flow, with the experience of what's happening until you get to the end. And sometimes when you make that mind shift of, okay, I'm not going to let that person direct my life, it's immediately over. Because it was happening to get you to take responsibility for something in your life. And as soon as you do that, then there's no reason for that experience to continue on impacting your life. And I think that's part of why, we have spontaneous healings. People just get to the point where, wait a minute, they realize, I don't need this now. I've learned everything I needed to learn. Their soul knows that, right? So sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's a soul learning, and then it's gone. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you all very much. Rebecca, take a deep breath in. Sigh it out. Feel that connection between you and the universe. Feel the love of God flowing into you, surrounding you. Feel the power that you have within yourself to do all that you wish to do. As you feel this energy, feel the love and the generosity that comes with it. Allow yourself to step into your bliss. See it as a car. Open the door to your car, whatever kind of car, it's your bliss car. Open the door and get in on the driver's side. Start the engine and know that from this moment forward, your bliss car is taking you through life. You never have to leave it. It will take you anywhere you need to go. It will return you back to where you want to be, all the while supporting you, never needing maintenance. It has a direct connection to God and to your soul. Your bliss car. You even have a navigation panel there. You can put in whatever it is that you want on that panel and hit map it and set as destination and just go. The car essentially will drive itself. All you have to do is to provide the direction. Always, always supported by your bliss. Always surrounded by your bliss. Always only being in your bliss. That is how life is intended to be lived. Life is wonderful. Life is joyous regardless of what's going on. As long as you stay surrounded by your bliss, operating from within it, there is nothing that can stop you from doing what you want. Love yourself enough to stay in your bliss, to stay in your car. Know that God loves you so much that your car is always there available for you. Should you one day choose to step out of your car, you may always go back. It is always there for you. Take a deep breath in, blow it out, and just know that it is so. Come back into the room.